that's my quick intro. What's more important is my WhatsApp number. So those of you who don't have my WhatsApp number, please save it so that um, if you have any questions, you can get in touch with me directly. And I'm also maintaining a global WhatsApp group for SBL students. So if you're not a member, here is the link of the group to join. All right. If you're already a member of any global group, then no problem. No need to join this group. Right. So let's start with technical articles. So first of all, in the last 18 months or so, 3 articles have been published. Okay, in the last 18 months, 3 articles has been published for SBL. One was called Application of New Technology Part 3. It was published in April 2023, like more than a year back. After that, in July 2023, article was published for project management. What are the documents and reports used under project management? And the third and the latest one, which is available, is called Growing in Partnership. It was published like almost 5 months back in December. Okay. So these first 2 articles I had already covered in my September 2023 webinar, and Growing in Partnership I have already covered in my March 2024 webinar. Okay. Now these first 2 articles have already been tested in your exam. So they are now out of the way. They are not an important topic anymore. So usually the pattern is that once there is an article published, there is a question relating to that article in your real paper. Okay, so these 2 articles have already been tested in your recent exams in December, in March. However, this article, Growing in Partnership, I think it has not yet been tested. So those students who gave the paper in March, you would be better able to confirm to me. Did you get any question on a joint venture or franchise or strategic alliance, something like that? Do you remember? Right. Yeah, I thought so as well. So this topic has not yet been tested. But I've already covered this in my March 2024 webinar, the previous attempt webinar. But since, this has not yet been tested, I can quickly go through it again if you guys want. There is no new technical article published for June 2024. So this was the last one in December 2023. So as of today morning, I checked, there is no new technical article. So we will just revise this technical article. Now, what about the previous technical articles? Like there are like 18, 20 previous technical articles. Don't worry about them. They are very old. And if you just focus on my top 25 topics, more or less those articles are already, embedded or incorporated in those lectures. All right. So we need to just focus on the latest technical articles, those which has not yet been tested. Okay. So let me just talk about this latest article, Growing in Partnership. So it's a very simple article, nothing to worry about. And it just talks about the concept of joint venture, the concept of strategic alliance, the concept of franchise, and the concept of licensing. So these are the four areas which the article has covered, right? So you just need to know what these words means, what are the basic advantages of these things, what are the basic disadvantages of these things, right? So do you know what a joint venture is? Let me see. Just try to guess. A joint venture. What do you think it means in layman thing? What's a joint venture? A plus B is equal to C. Very good. Yes, Ananya, that's good. When basically a joint venture is when two companies they work together. Okay. When two companies they work together, they collaborate and work together. It's kind of a partnership, yeah. But it's not a partnership between two individuals. It's basically a partnership between two entities. So in simple word, a joint venture means that two organizations are working together. Now, what is a strategic alliance? Can you guess what is a strategic alliance? Again, very similar concept. Alliance means working together, right? Allied forces, NATO forces. So alliance means working together. So both joint venture and strategic alliance, they basically mean the same thing, that two or more firms or two or more organizations, they come together and work. So the advantages and disadvantages of joint venture and strategic alliance is pretty much the same, because both these concepts are quite same. They're not exactly same. I'll just explain what's the difference. But principally, both these option means that two or more organizations, they come together and work like a partnership, like a collaboration. Now, what is that little difference between joint venture and strategic alliance? The only difference is the legal form. The only difference is in the legal form. In a joint venture, company A and company B, if they want to work together, they will form another company called company C. So in company C, company A will have 50% share, company B will have 50% share. So they will form a third company, a joint venture company. So there will a new company will exist in a joint venture. Whereas in a strategic alliance, the two firms are working together without forming a new or a third company. They just work together based on a contract or an understanding or a memorandum of understanding, MOU, right? So it's not necessary to form another legal entity. So that's the only difference between joint venture and strategic alliance, that in a joint venture, a new company is formed to do the partnership, whereas in the strategic alliance, no new company is formed. The firms work together based on a contract. Clear? But principally speaking, both these means the same thing, working together or collaborating with other firms. There are many examples of strategic alliance and there are many examples of joint ventures. In real life, the banks, they do strategic alliance. How? Take very simple example of ATM cards. You know ATM cards? you can withdraw cash from any ATM machine of any bank, right? So all of them are linked together. So all the banks have collaborated. So it's strategic alliance. They have not formed a new bank. Understood? Airlines, they do strategic alliance. Telecom companies, they do strategic alliance, right? So they work together without forming a new company. Joint venture is normally seen in oil and gas industry. Okay, because the stakes are very high, you require a lot of investment in oil and gas, a lot of research, a lot of the risks are very high. So in oil and gas, you will see a proper joint venture company. So it doesn't matter, it depends on company to company, industry to industry. Now, advantages of joint venture or strategic alliance. Why do company work together? Aren't we supposed to be competitors? Right? But in somewhere there are certain advantages to work together. For example, sharing of expertise. So, if it's a very technical thing like something like a very complicated thing which requires a lot of machineries and complicated equipment. So, one company may not be able to afford. So let's pool together, let's share our expertise. Again, the costs will be shared. Sharing of risks, that's very important. Very high risk projects like oil and gas, one company may not have the appetite to take on so much risk, so they collaborate and they work in partnership, so they split the risks. Sharing of research, again, research by nature is a very costly activity and with a very low success rate, right? So you might lose a lot of money on research. So any one company doesn't want to take a risk. So you might collaborate and do joint research. So all these sharing of expertise, cost, risk, research, these are the advantages. Now, can you think of any disadvantages of collaborating? Let me see. Common sense. Any disadvantages or risks of sharing? Yeah, of course, sharing of profits. Absolutely correct. Then we also have to share profits, right? And how about chances of disputes? Correct, right? When we enter into a partnership, so there are chances of dispute, and then self-interest, uh, we might have to share our secret things. All those things are also there. That's the reality and practical side, right? Have to share profits, chances of dispute, conflict of interest. I am protecting my interest, that guy is protecting his interest. So things probably may not work out the way we expected, right? Cultural differences, good one. Right, right. So you understand the concept. You just need to know what these are and two or three basic advantages and two or three basic disadvantages. That's it. You don't have to go into depth in of these things. All right, move on. Another word you should be familiar is called franchise. I'm pretty sure you know what franchise is, right? So, what is a franchise? Can you give me examples of franchises around you? Very good. McDonald's and Pizza Hut and Nando's and Domino's and Starbucks and Costa. All these are, Subway, yes, KFC. Yeah, correct. These are all friends. So, how does a franchise arrangement work? So, again, there are two parties. One is called the franchisor, the other one is called the franchisee. So, if the franchisor shares his, let's take an example of McDonald's. Okay. So McDonald has a certain recipe, certain quality standard, certain brand. And so McDonald is the franchisor, and he will appoint a franchisee for a particular country or a particular city or a particular region. And then he will transfer all the secret recipe, he will train all the staff, he will check the quality, and then the franchisee can start selling McDonald's under the brand of McDonald's, right? You understand? Very simple. Normally, franchise arrangement is geographical. Did you understand that? Franchise arrangement is always geographical. It may be for a certain area or a certain city or a certain province or entire country. It is normally defined by geographical areas. So I personally think it's a good model for expansion. So there are certain advantages and disadvantages to the franchisor, and there are certain advantages and disadvantages to the franchisee. So can you think of any advantages to the franchisor? What benefit will McDonald's get? It's quick geographical expansion, royalty, income, and more revenue, right? So it's pretty simple. McDonald can expand. It's more revenues for McDonald's without investing capital, right? The capital and all the money, all the risks are taken by the franchisee. So without investing money, without taking the risks, McDonald's is expanding and increasing its revenue, right? But then what are the risks to McDonald's? What are the disadvantages of McDonald's? Quality might suffer, right? The McDonald's is dependent on the local franchisee. The local franchisee might screw up the quality, might screw up the brand image. There can be dispute. The franchisee might become a competitor in future because now he knows the exact recipe. Very good. You guys are on fire today, all charged up. All common sense. I'm trying to develop your common sense, logical thinking, reputational risk. Very nice, very nice. Poor customer service, absolutely correct. Now let's think from a franchisee point of view. What are the advantages to the franchisee of taking McDonald's brand? Think. You can read, I know you can see the screen, but first think. There is a big advantage to the franchisee. He's getting a well-known brand. He's not starting from scratch. He's not starting an unknown product. He's starting with a well-known brand. So already he's got a advantage, and a well-known brand is relatively less risky, right? And all technical, yeah, exactly. Good. Very good, very good. Come on, Yash. McDonald's is a well-known brand, so you don't have to spend a lot of money. The McDonald's will be spending money on their marketing. So, I mean, very, very basic question. Now, what are the disadvantages to franchisee? He is also facing certain risks. He has to make all the investment. He has to take all the risks. And he has to pay money to McDonald's, right? And he has to strictly follow the guidelines and all those things. And suddenly the franchisor might cancel the contract for any reason, and then the franchisee is screwed. Good, good. All right. So this, any questions on franchise concept? Very simple. There are two parties, franchisor and franchisee. You need to remember the advantages, disadvantages of franchisor. You need to remember the advantages, disadvantages to franchisee. Very basic. Just two, three basic advantages. There's another word called licensing. It's very similar to the word franchise. The only difference is the word license is used for intangible products, right? And if the word franchise is mostly used for tangible products, like McDonald's is a tangible product, right? Nando's is a tangible product. Nike is a tangible product. So we use the word franchise. But if you are selling an intangible product, then we use the word licensing. Any example? Microsoft license. So this word licensing is normally used for softwares, for digital, for cartoons, for all these things. Just a second, guys. Just give me a minute. Sorry, guys. So the word licensing is normally used for softwares and intangible products like Disney and movies and all those things. Clear? The advantage, disadvantage are all the same. Any questions on joint venture, strategic alliance, franchise, and licensing? All these strategies are basically to grow geographically. These are growth strategies. So instead of me growing organically, I use another person to grow through a franchise or a licensing or joint venture or alliance, right? So all these are called growth strategies. Growing through partnership, meaning that instead of growing organically on your own, you are doing partnership with other firms to grow. Good? Easy? Easy peasy?